Word, I'm still on that free plan, and StreamYard ain't getting my money. You heard? Okay, ain't getting my money. Once I run up my 20 hours, that's it. I'll be back when I be back. You heard? So as you can hear my voice, I'm a little tipsy. A little tipsy off of some club tails, but like I had a Stella Artois and I watered it down, just like I watered this down. But I have a motherfucking thought. Nah, I want to get it out. So notice that, in the walls of Egypt, there is this. Egypt has, if you want to learn anything about storytelling, the Egyptians had some kind of craft or secret to storytelling. They had a craft or secret to fashion, design, interior designing, all of these things that involve artistry. You're always going to be taken back to Egypt. Even when I understood the history of interior design, it took me back to the Egypt and how the Egyptians had this kind of like air conditioner system that they had beneath the pyramids. Pretty dope. But I'm more impressed by the stories. And there's one story that says when you're born in this life, your soul splits and it goes into another person. And we find our other half, that other soul that is us. And this is the story of why you have soulmate and twin flames and everybody going crazy. And I think people who believe in twin flames go the craziest. I've been there. I've been there. But through the beautiful age of 40, my mind shifts to something else. And it was Tyler Perry in the form of Medea that said something like, when you're 30, you kind of be like, let me get, I feel it. Let me give it a chance. Let me see. I don't know what to deal with it after I done gave it a chance. And, in your 20s, you don't know nothing. Teen definitely don't know nothing. But 20s, you just be like, all right, let me just get this experience. It's more like they say the first 30 years of your life are your learning years. I think all years of your life are your learning years. But then the Medea said, when you hit 40, something about 40, something about that bulb just click in your head. 40 is before that person hit the door, you just be like, no. And that's true. And so what has happened to me at 40 is that I have developed such since mid 30s to 40, because I went through a midlife crisis at 35. People say it's in mid 40s, but for me it was 35. Okay. And what happened is I realized that between those two ages, that between that age pretty much, I have come to a different reality, mindset, and inside my heart of how I perceive relationships, especially for the past 4 years that I've been having. And those of you who are OGs who have been here, you already know my story, right? What happened? I began to see a different reality of what love is, relationships are. It all falls back to the relationship that you have with yourself. It all falls back to love that you give to yourself. And then I have in quotations, get out. It means go out in the world, actually experience the world and people, talk to people. You don't have to talk, but just go. You don't even have to talk. Just go out there in the world with people. I just came from an emo night party. Okay. It was litty as fuck. I didn't stay to 2 a.m. You see, it's 2 a.m. now. I went with family members and I had a blast. Okay. I had a fucking blast. Dressed up in character and all. And so, what I've come to realize as life is going on is that we choose to love people or say that we love somebody. We choose to say that person is our person. We choose to say that person is our soulmate, even our twin flame. Twin flame people, for some reason, go a little bit crazy, go a little bit stupid. I've been that person. So, what's interesting about that is these relationships that have, like, where you're feeling things in your heart chakra, your sacral chakra, and your crown chakra and shit, always comes with heartache, pain, growth, frustration, sadness, crying, breaking down, it's breaking. Because something subconsciously in you wants to experience it. I was once told that we don't make choices, right? That one is a big one for me, and I still sit with that. And from the choices that we make, because I do believe we still make choices. From the choices that we make, I noticed that subconsciously, I agree with Garber, Dr. Garber. We attract who gives us pain because something in us wants to be stung into self-realization, right? All these mythological stories that anybody who's paid attention to them all had a story of life, a tall tale, as they call it, a lesson to teach us. And as you grow, the same way you hear a song, you're like, damn, I actually understand this motherfucking song, right? Or I actually get the lyric of this song. It's all a part of growth in life. It was once a man who said, when I went through went through a divorce, this is his quote. I listened to Purple Rain by Prince, and I realized in that moment what that song was really about, and I broke down crying. I know somebody who I hear the music that they listen to, and there's a song that goes, we're not mad, we don't hate you, we appreciate you. It's a beautiful song. They play it a lot, and they have gone through a divorce, and you can hear it like, oh, okay, it's a beautiful song, and they play it a lot. And it's like, we ain't angry at you, love. We ain't angry at you, love. That's the song. It's kind of like a country song, but it's a beautiful song. And they listen to it, and it sounds uplifting. But anyway, I realized that when life goes on and how life goes on, we are all in poly relationship. We are all in multiple relationships. And if you choose not to be, that is an absolute choice. You choose to be monogamous, that's an absolute choice. You choose to be faithful in this monogamous relationship, then that's an absolute choice. And I know I kind of always talk about these relationship gurus, but I have come to see that the most mature relationship topics or people are people who talk about poly. Where does poly get so tricky for people? Because you have people who are manipulative. You have people with the intention and ego of, I'm going to come into this circle and cause problems. I'm going to come into this circle and only get who it is that I want. And I've watched people play this very nasty game. But the game begins to play with them every time. You can't make people do what you think you want to make them do, even if they do what you think they want to make you what you think you're making them do. it's still going to backfire. Why do people get so mad when people cheat on them? Why do people get so mad when they find out the person they thought they were not the person that they were? Because people don't want to deal with the reality. As a writer, I'm going to tell you, the purpose of romance writing is fantasy. It is to make you believe that that's what a relationship is and that's how a relationship works. Because the goal of a romantic story is that the two people that you see in the beginning, that they end up being together, whether that's even if someone ends up losing their life or whatever, someone still has their heart for somebody, or they end up being who they want to be. And that is the happy ending of a romance story. And that is not how it happens. So much that people online create the same false reality of relationships, and that's not what it is. The key to relationships is relating. It is about being in reality. Who are you and who am I? But more so, the first question is, who am I? And then, who are you? And why did I choose to say that I love you? Why did I choose to say you're my person? Why did I choose to say that you're my twin flame in our soulmates? Why did I choose to say that? It is a choice when you say, well, you should marry your friend. Who the fuck even knows what a friend is? And you have to even look at even that being said. Because it's not only one person I heard say that. I heard this plenty of times. Well, I married my best friend. You still choose to say that. And if you have a friend or a best friend, you're still choosing to say that. And so it's about facing a bigger reality. And that is that you do not know this person. I don't give y'all grew up together since kindergarten. You don't know who that person is. And when you say you love them, what do you say that you love? Nobody likes to hear things talked about in this way because it's so pessimistic, right? But it's not pessimistic. It's rooted in reality. It's rooted in realness. People go through phases. People have astrological phases they go through. People go through many phases, numerical phases that they go through. People begin to transform and grow. People begin to learn themselves as they're with you. And somebody who you once loved may not be the same person that you knew 2 years ago, a year ago, or 6 months ago. You know, you have people that be so angry about people tricking them and this, that, the third. And all the time, these people are not necessarily being tricked. That's not always the case. I'm not taking away anyone's experience, but that's not always the case. The reality is who people are is in front of you, but you have to be able to have the wisdom and knowledge to understand who the person is that's in front of you, but you have to be rooted in reality. It's the same way somebody has a friend who's nasty and rude and this and that, but that's just my friend. That's my friend. Or that's my person, or the person I love, and they begin to tolerate until they break. And it goes back to the thing that I tell you all the time, that love is to be given to yourself. And it's too much people talking and stuff that's rooted in insecurity. But how do we give away with this? That's the way to say it. You have to give love to yourself. And what is giving love to yourself? You look at yourself, your everyday self that you were born with. You look at your eyes, you look at your nose, you look at your lips, you look at the shape of your head, look at your hair, you look at your body. And you begin to love everything about who you are, because who's going to love you but you? Who's going to appreciate you but you? But if you don't like what you see, you make the changes. You don't like your body, you do the changes to make your body the way that you want it to. You don't always have to hit the gym. If you feel like, hey, I want to take ibuprofen. And again, let me make a disclaimer here. I'm not trying to tell you to do this. I'm just saying, if you want to go get apple cider pills to lose weight, then that's what you got to do. If you have to take a pill that says, hey, take this every morning with on an empty stomach, then that's what you're going to do. And if you want to put the work in to hit the gym, that's what you're going to do. Whether the gym is in your home or the gym is outside, you can do that. Or you're going to begin to live a lifestyle to reflect the lifestyle that you want to have, the body or the look that you want for yourself. You're going to change your hair. You're going to do all of these things to have the life that you want. And when somebody comes into your life, you're going to understand why they're there. You're going to understand the purpose of why you came together and why you choose to say you love them and they choose to say they love you. That's what you do. The problem is you have too many of people coming from insecure places trying to tell you how to have a relationship. You have people so insecure that you got people feeling fucking some way about themselves because they come from a six-figure job plus, and someone telling them, you don't need to be with nobody that got that much money. You need to be with somebody like this. Because it's shady to try to tell them you don't match what you're asking for no matter how much money you make. But only you can determine the level of what you need in your life and who you need in your life. And the moment you feel like you have to compromise, the moment you feel like you have to put down who you are to be with this person, that's not the person you need to be with. I think compromising is one of the biggest tricks in the patriarchy. Because what does it really mean to compromise? What does it mean to be like, I'm going to put this down and this down to be with another human being who we don't really know like that? I don't care if you knew each other from kindergarten or high school. You don't really know people. And that's another topic. You don't really know people. It really does take a fool to learn that love don't love nobody. That should have been the title. Maybe if I thought about it, it would have been. I sit here and I look at people, and I'm a people watcher, very much so. And I had a good time today. And I noticed that somebody came to me and they said what they said, and they kind of just walked away from me because I didn't have the same excitement that they had, but I was listening to them because I'm grown. And I know I don't look like it, but I'm grown. And pretty much I didn't get to get too much into the conversation because I kind of like, they just kind of walked away. Like, wasn't like that. So why does it happen with somebody's at a certain standard? I know women who got degrees and live a certain lifestyle and a passport. And so when they get in a relationship with someone, it becomes a problem. People feel intimidated by who they are. People can't handle the pressure of being in a relationship. Because when you're in a relationship, it's a part of what you choose to have. It's not so much of I love you and we're in golf and you're my other half. I can't even say it's the SCW. And those who've been around, you know what I'm talking about. I can't even blame it on that anymore. And then there is this aspect of control, manipulation, mind games, helicopters, right? Monitoring the person that they're with, smothering the person that they're with. And understand the person who's getting smothered like that, subconsciously, that's what they want. They want to go through that. That person in an abusive relationship, there's something that they're not healing. There's subconsciously something they really want to go through that. And that's just how it is. Then there's also the aspect of who are you? Have you sat down with yourself to know who you are for real? Before you decided to get into this relationship and say, this is my other half? Why do you have so much problems with people who are married that are divorced, that, who are divorced and are now married, who were married and now divorced, damn. And you be like, damn, I thought you would have this all figured out. I would think that you would understand how to have a relationship, because we have to check ourselves. Because who told us that the person who got a divorce that was in this relationship for X amount of years, fill in the blank, whether between 2 to fucking 15 years, what made us believe that this person has the answer to what relationships are? So we got to check that too. What made us believe that this person who's been in this relationship for 75 years understands the dynamic of relationship and what it truly is? Because we have to start checking ourselves. How do you check yourself? You begin to look inside yourself and begin to realize who are you, what you have experienced, what life has been. Those of you who go to therapy is even a booster to help you be like, wait a minute, I'm attracting my childhood wound over and over again. I don't want to do that. So therefore you start to make different decisions. And I'm going to tell you a harsh reality that you may not like. As you begin to love yourself and embrace yourself and love who you are and love the people who you choose to love, what you're going to find is it's not that easy to get involved with other people. I got hiccups, y'all. 1 second. I don't know if that works. Let's see. I got to look good 3 seconds in with that, holding my breath. And so these are the things that become what it is with these things. You see here, you see poly relationships, and people clown them and be like, damn, why all these poly people look like this? Right? And we see these poly relationships, and some people be like, well, damn, this is the whole fucking mess. Well, that's because you're dealing with people who are not being honest with themselves. Because people who are being honest with themselves, you don't see all that. But a relationship is going to be a mess because when you have personalities and you have different people and you have to do your own inner work, you have people who this is how it turns into a shit show. But it still all boils down to the individual person and how they're choosing to have their relationship. It is still all coming down to the dynamic of that relationship. Some people have a relationship with somebody that has lots of money or what they perceive to be a lot of money. And so they don't want to share or they don't want somebody trying to take what they have. Some people have relationships where they monitor a lot. They need to know what they're doing and where they're at and who they're talking to, and they need to be over them when they're texting and all this kind of thing. But whatever the dynamic of the relationship from I just explained right here is still rooted in insecurity. Because once you get to a point where you're like, I'm just doing this because I don't want this person to cheat on me. I'm just doing this because this is what the person likes. That's rooted in insecurity. And therefore, your spirit, your soul, your mind, your body is going to begin to break down because you're not living in your truth. People who live in their truth are happy people. That's a fact. Because they're living in their truth and they're being honest with themselves. Hey, I can't hold down a relationship. Hey, I don't want children. Hey, I don't have the capacity to stick around too long, and all these different things that they begin to realize. And they realize that this world is very bullying and trying to bully you into having children and bullying you to being married and all these things, and to bully you into whoever else, whatever bullying that they do. And you realize, I'm not going to allow myself to be bullied. I don't even fucking care. And that is the beauty of self-love. And there is a rough road that comes with it because you get people that hate you, literally hate you, people who are jealous of you. And it was a quote that someone said where it was like, people rather sit down and hate you instead of doing their own inner work. Facts. It's the same thing I always say, like, it's a fact. They rather hate you. They rather get mad. They rather project. Okay? And so freedom bothers people. Loving yourself bothers people. Being who you are bothers people. Being someone who doesn't care bothers people. But also being someone who is logical and living your life to your frequency and logics can bother people. And you have to understand that's the territory of living a free life in this fucking prison ass world. And I'm still learning how to live life more free. There's a book on that as well. How to be free in this kind of world. Or something, how to be free in a closed up world or some shit. What it's called. Intellectuals have a hard time in this world because we're living in a country that is not about intelligence. And the more you grow and the more you realize, like, this country is not about intelligence. Or whatever other countries, so they're not about intelligence, about self-love and self-growth and all these different things. About what true education is and knowledge of self is. Because that's the key thing. You have the knowledge of self. You know, I was telling somebody today, earlier today, later today really, that people have a life where, those people that have a life where they're just special. They're so special, so special. About their mom and their dad and their aunties and their grandparents and cousins and all of this is special. And they get in a relationship and it's like they have to find out they're not so special because this person is cheating. And so this person, you can go check it out, and they go in this private, quiet room, dark, and you see the camera zoom in on a person, and they're like, well, why did you cheat on me? Why did you cheat? And then they ask, well, how many other people did you sleep with besides me and all that shit? All these different things. And the person be like, you're an awesome person. I didn't have a problem with you and this, that, and the third. I just decided I wanted to go fuck somebody else besides just you. And that person is just devastated and crushed and hurt and all these kind of things. And I'm just like, well, you didn't really know that person like you thought you did, huh? You ain't as, because it ain't really about that person, it's really about them. Oh, you ain't as special as you thought you were, huh? There's plenty of fish in the sea. And I had a friend that said to me, they was like, well, fish is got that have teeth and this and that. They start going into the details of different fish in the sea. And I'm like, yeah, but there's still plenty of fish in the sea, no matter how you say it. And what you won't do, somebody else will. That's facts. And no one likes to hear this reality. Why do you think we have BDSM? Why do you think we have kink parties and all this kind of stuff? You know why? Because those people are being real with themselves. They're like, you know what? When I go to the club, remember in that song it says, she's up all night to have fun. I'm up all night to get lucky. But that person don't have to be all night to get lucky if they just went to a kink party. If they went to a sex party. Because kink is different, but you get what I'm saying. A sex party. Because had they went to a party like that, they came in with the intentions of what they wanted. Because that's what you do when you're mature. That's what you do when you're grown. But when you're out here playing games, you're going to clubs and all this stuff or whatever you're doing, raves or whatever, just to get lucky, just to fuck. When you can just go somewhere where you have the intentions of what you can do. And this is what people do. Anybody ever read people's confession? Oh yeah, I'm this and I'm this religion and I believe in this, but this is the lifestyle that I have and this person do not know. We can avoid these secret lives and all these kind of things if people are just honest. This is why you have poly relationships. This is why you have transgenderism. This is why, and I don't like to use that term, but I'm just going to use it, transgenderism. This is why you have all these type of sexualities and all these things, because but see, here's the trick about that, because you have people that's in that world just being straight creeps. And that ain't who they are. And they're trying to make mockery of the people who are like that. But for the people who are real, they're finding their like-mindedness, because that's what it should be. Why should we live? Should we see people who are get married, but they're doing drag on the side because that's what they want to do, and their partner has no clue, or they're married, their wife, husband do not know it. That's what they're doing. Why do we have people in these relationships and they're living pretty much a double life? Because it's like, hey, I like you, but I like my ass to be penetrated, and you're not going to do it because of spiritual beliefs or whatever, whether religious or not or whatever, and I can't do that. And you can't do it for me because I can't really marry you. Why do we have all this going on? It's not necessary. And so when you get to a certain age, you be who you are. So when somebody meets you, you be like, I'm Polly. I'm into heavy metal music. I love to rave and dance at emo night. I enjoy smoking weed. Your beauty and all of this stuff is not going to make me compromise who I am. You standing here in front of me is not going to make me be insecure and compromise. And there is nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with having that style of a fucking mentality. There is nothing wrong with realizing this is who you are and this is how you operate in this world. Just like it's not wrong with saying, hey, I'm monogamous because I'm clingy and I'm possessive and I only like to have one person. That's fine. But understand, if you go involved with that person and then they find that you find out you don't like what they do, or you find out what you find out about them, then that's on you. And you have people that be with people that clearly keeps cheating from the very start, and then they end up catching on to their cheating, but they'll still stay, they'll get married and all this stuff. But at the end of the day, they suffer from that. I've seen that too many times on whatever gender round. You can't lie to yourself ever. You can't sit here and be in a relationship and be like, well, I was in it, so the person won't cheat on me. Well, it doesn't necessarily mean technically now they're cheating in your face and you have allowed it. But now your health is deteriorating because you allowed it, and that's not really what you want. That's why your health is deteriorating. And that's why you're doing all the crazy shit that you're doing in this relationship, because you're not being honest about yourself. And so those people who are honest with themselves begin to have an honest, reflective life that continues to go on and on and on, because that's who they are. Ever notice married people be so eager? Your co-workers, like, hey, just call me, just talk to me. It just sounds so bored. Like they don't have nothing else going on with their life. Because they really don't have nothing else going on in their life. Nobody is so accessible when they have things going on in their life. I learned that. People who really have shit going on in their life, you just don't have access to them. You can't see them every day like that. You can't do all those things. And another thing, understand that we have people who are conservative, right? And red, right? Voting red. And then you see how convoluted everything is, right? And I don't feel sorry for anyone in this moment who's transgender, because a lot of the transgender women were out their motherfucking mind. They were taking things too far. They was beating on women. They were haughty as fuck. They were cocky. They were just being fucked up to people. And they were asking for these laws to have a right to just beat a woman's ass, because these trans women, right, are still have a male mind in the patriarchy. where they want to infiltrate women's spaces and they want to beat women the fuck down because they hate them. I can go on. And so they had to be brought down to their knees where the president said, hey, there's only two genders. Now, I don't want to be in a world where I'm erased and this and that, but look what you did to other people. You made us call ourselves vagina owners. You made us call ourselves birthers. You made us all these hateful things. So, you reap what you sow, right? And so we're in the times where it's like, hey, if you can't afford children, then you shouldn't have them, right? We're living in the times where it's like eggs is fucking expensive. I don't eat eggs like that anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I can go on. These are the times that we're living in. And a lot of people, we also in the time where people just are done with online dating. You don't be surprised you see an article, people like, I'm so sick of online dating that online dating has pushed me out in the world to start meeting people. Why did online dating push everybody in the world to start meeting people? Because I just rather meet somebody face to face. I'd rather bag somebody, get their number and shit while I'm out and about doing the things that I love to do. Because this online shit ain't it. You have people who met online and actually fall in love, okay? But I still would like to know that update. And fall in love so much that they got married, but I still would like to see that update. You have people that sitting here. I want y'all to pay attention to something. You have a lot of these divestors, right? And it's so funny because y'all can check the last divested video. And they drag the hoes and they drag the women from in the time who were hoes and stuff like that. It was pretty cute, but and they were like, somebody has something to say about me saying something about She-Ra 7 and this and that. And they just was dragging. It's like, well, the reality is that you just don't want to believe that your husband has a sugar baby, or or you don't want to believe that the person that you with is actually going to, or going to cheat on you, or that they're lying to you. They ain't about cheating. They're lying to you and they're not who they say that they are. You just don't want the reality of that. And that's what's going on. You have to be able to face the reality. You have to be able to face the truth. More so about who? Yourself. If you know in your personality that you're polyamorous, then that's who you are. That's who you are. If you know that you're lazy, you're a thief, that you're a liar, that you play games, you're manipulative, you have to be honest with yourself about who you are. You have to come to terms with that. But you need to understand that certain traits, that if you decide to get in a relationship, you will reap and you shall reap what you sow. And I find that people try to use manipulation to get what it is that they want, but that's not what happens to them. It backfires every time. Any male you see in a relationship with multiple women and this, that, and the third, that's a reflective of what they're attracting. And that's the part of how they're able to have that level of control in relationship, because they're very good at who they use as their victims, because that's what it is. And these people in their lives, they do not know them. And that's why they're using them the way that they do. That's polyamory. They would never say they're polyamorous. They're going to be selfish and say, hey, I'm monogamous and this and that. And I don't tolerate this and that. And I don't like this and that. But the reality is, internally, that person's fucked up. Because the moment that someone else begins to do something else different than what they expect, watch how they respond. Watch how manipulative they get. Watch how abusive that they get, because they're not getting what they want. It's not worth it. Hold on, hiccups. Hiccups. If only you could see my face. The last breath. 25 seconds. And so this is the reality of what life is. And as you begin to navigate it, you have to face the reality of what you see in front of you. Who is this person? What is their personality? What it is that they like and dislike? Who is this person that I say that I love, that I call my bestie, that I like? What is their personality? And why am I involved in this person's personality, or someone who has this kind of personality? If I have a friend that is a very mean person, why am I still here with this very mean person? If I have somebody in my life that I realize they're not over their ex, but I still involve myself in a relationship, what is it that I'm trying to prove, or what kind of childhood wound or something is going on here that I keep doing this when I know that this is going to lead to heartbreak? You have to have this level of reality for yourself. You know how many people thought their relationship was one thing to find out something else? I've seen women all up in their ego and then they break down crying when who they with end up telling them about somebody else. I've heard people all in their ego say a lot of shit, all in their ego, but you know they really don't live that, because they're crying and whining and chasing the person that they're with. I cannot blame it on the SCW. For those who've been around, you know what I'm talking about. I can't blame that no more. It's a part of it, but I can't blame it no more. We live in such a big world and society, and if you want to get out, it's your choice according to your level of intelligence of how you're going to get out. Or you're going to stay stuck. We can go on all day. We can talk about race and what race of women and how they divest and do things differently and get away from the Black community. We can talk about all of these different things about the hoes and the Shira sevens and all that, because it still all stems down to how much do you love yourself? And this love that you give to yourself when you walk out in this world, how does the world respond to internally who you are? It still all stems back to that. No matter who's who and who's what. But see, sometimes it takes time to get to know yourself. Sometimes it may take moments of sitting back and really going to therapy and these different things, or whether you go to therapy through reading a book or whatever, to heal these different aspects of yourself, to understand why am I attracting what I'm attracting? Why am I in this moment with this person here? Or why did I have to end up finding out that this person is not being who what they say they are, but now I'm devastated and hurt, and I'm yelling at them and I'm angry at what they did to me? Why? Because psychologically people have a lot of internal stuff going on and they don't know how to cope. Psychologically, there's so many people that deal with so much deep insecurities over shit that's like, hey, if you like her body, maybe you should go work out so you can have her body, right? You like his body, maybe you should go work out so you can have his body. And don't feel so defeated about it. So why does this happen? Because it's human nature. Why does it happen when people are, hey, why did you cheat on me? Because it's human nature. You should never take it personal if someone cheats on you. Either the relationship is over, or there's something there between the person and them that maybe they have what they have. It doesn't mean that you don't have what they want. Is it that that person has what they have? And this is all a part of poly. Going back to that topic again. People are going to be creeps. People are going to lie. People are going to manipulate to have you. And you may have been the one to do it. but you still make choices of, hey, I like you, hey, I love you, you're my person. You still make choices. At the end of it all, you still make a choice to say, hey, that story of Egypt applies to me and this person. This is definitely my other half. You choose to do that. And as a writer, as a screenwriter as well, as a songwriter as well, I realized the craft of the artistry. And I realized that, wait a minute, romance stories is about fantasy. And this is why you have people that fall in love with these stories and these characters. This is why you have people that argue with the author and argue with other women about who this person is. And you're just like, bitch, are you crazy? It's not okay, Love Jones, for you to just come knock at a woman's door and say, hey, I bought you the Isley Brothers. You're stalking her at this point. It's not okay for you to get on stage and quote a poem indicating that y'all are going to have sex. And then this woman realizes, like, hey, let's do something besides have sex. Let's go to this place that's the Blue Room and dance. That's not okay. Honestly, she should have been stopped fucking with you when you got on that stage and crossed her boundaries and embarrassed the shit out of her. It's not okay, talking about Love Jones again, when you realize that she's like, hey, I'm going to go to New York and have my career. And she did that. And you were confessing your love in the rain and all this kind of shit. That's not how it works. But that's the fantasy of what romance stories is. But that's not what relationships are. That's why they call it relationships. That's why they call that for a reason. Because it's not whimsical and loving and this and that. I said that when I was like 35, 36 years old. And the person had to tell me relationships are not, it don't work like that. It's not all whimsical and loving. That's not what it is. I was still at that, what you call little girl phase of what the relationship was, because I was so caught up in someone saying, hey, you don't really have the capacity to love. You don't have the capacity to be in a relationship. You need to be with an artist. And the person was right at the end of the day. Like, hey, I do need to be with an artist. And I don't really fully have the capacity to love like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, because there's so many people like me, whatever gender, but they're not ready to face that truth. And they're going so hard to be in relationships, because I've been there, to prove to themselves that, hey, nothing's wrong with me. I can love. I can open my heart. If that's not what you can do, then that's not what you can do. And there's nothing wrong with that. That is the point of therapy and healing. That's the point of, in time, I'm not trying to advocate this trigger mornings. I don't really like antidepressants. I like them for a certain time in your life, maybe for a certain moment or a time that you take it. But I don't like antidepressants because it makes me too goddamn docile. And I don't like that. I'm too much of a creative to sit around and be docile. Let me deal with the energetic thing of my mind thinking so much in another way, because I'm dealing in a place that's anti-intelligence. So therefore, they're going to put me on something that's going to make me more docile, more sensitive, more over emotional, because this is not who I am, but this is what this antidepressant has done. Again, trigger warning. Until you're able to face the reality and get out and say, no, this is who I am. This is how I live my life, and this is how it is. And so the person who comes into your world, into your life, they begin to understand that, because you're coming into their world as well as them coming into your world. And y'all begin to have an understanding of what this world is that y'all have together. And that's the facts. I don't care what nobody says. People made up these rules of relationships, the patriarchal thing. They made up these rules, what it's supposed to be and all this, that. What colors we're supposed to wear, who we're supposed to date, and all these different things. They made that up. Everybody's life path is not that way to be married and have children or to continue to have children after your 20s. There are people that's like, wait, I want my children to have a great future. So I can't build this great future if I begin to have more children. And just because I love you and I care about it, don't mean I need to have children with you. But every time you get dick, I'm going to tell you straight up, when you have dick, unless that dick does not want children at all, you will begin to want children because you got dick. Because it's the male's energy that wants children more than anything. They're always trying to make children. That is the purpose of why they're fucking. They want to make children, whether wanted or unwanted. And that's why women's energy picks that up and be like, hey, I want a baby. Because that's their energy and you picked it up. Have women upset, I didn't want no children, and then have a children, and then they're sitting there looking like I didn't want no fucking children because something in their soul is like I don't want no children. And there's nothing wrong with that. No one should make you feel like anything's wrong. It's really something wrong with the people who just walking around here just having a bunch of children. Look what this whole Trump 2020 shit is doing to everybody. Look at how they're fucking up Medicaid and healthcare, the education system. And it's just like, well, if y'all want to dismantle the education, what the fuck do y'all want it to be? And then you realize that everybody just wants to see everybody suffer, but then they end up suffering even more by wanting other people to suffer. They show you how wicked people can be. And these are the people that you listen to about your life and relationships. I sat here and came from GalaxyCon today, and we was walking down, and I could tell the people feel some type of way about seeing us all walk down. And it's like, fuck y'all. Who gives a fuck? This is our event, and this is what we're doing, and we're living our best life. Because you have people that they don't have that level of intelligence to understand that. And it's not your responsibility to make them.